The Mets season is not over. It's just the beginning. Stay positive. 888-808-1019. I'm here to say this because I heard this a lot last night, Tiki, and of course this is Loogie and Lightning here on Evan and Tiki. A lot of people were saying you can't lose to bad teams. Well, I'm here to tell you, when you beat good teams in baseball, you don't get bonus points for it. And when you lose to bad teams, it doesn't count as two losses. They all count the same. There's 162 games. Bad teams beat good teams all the time. But you got two more games to win the series.
It just feels so bad, Tommy. So bad. And I think maybe it's because it was Sevy, too. You just kind of wanted to bounce back from Sevy. And he was okay until the fourth inning and gives up the home run. Actually gave up all the runs, those 4 runs in the fourth inning. And, it wasn't all his fault, but it just felt like I want to see Sevy become Luis Severino from the beginning of the season. And then I'll feel comfortable about this Mets team. And then, for the most part, he was fine and he gives up the home run. And then he just had no faith. Then the faith just kind of fell out the door. And it just felt like, here we go again. It's not the same issue. It's not the bullpen. It's none of that stuff. They just don't feel good enough. And I don't mean that as they're not going to make the postseason or they have no chance, but something about them makes them feel not quite good enough. And it's frustrating because you know they could be.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Luis Severino. You kind of teed me up here, Tiki, because as you know, I am positive, Tommy. And even in the negative situations, I try to turn them into positives. And Sevy has not been good in his last couple starts. And obviously, Severino has dealt with injuries. So he's starting to reach that point innings-wise that he hasn't seen, you know what I mean? So
yes,
you're starting to see it in the performance. So I came up with an idea. How about Carlos Mendoza, who has not been scared to make certain type of moves, whether it's moving Lindor to the leadoff, dropping Pete in the order, putting Tyrone Taylor up in the order. So he's had that ability to do things. He hasn't been scared. He kind of goes with his gut. So how about you move Severino to the bullpen and you put Budo in the rotation?
How did you put Sevy in the bullpen?
Because
he's
now
never been a bullpen arm.
Well, now he doesn't have to throw as many innings. So now he could take the Budo rollover and Budo could go into the rotation, who they flirted with a little bit. Remember when they stretched him out in that game that was a blowout and Evan was having a conniption over?
Yeah.
They've thought about it.
Of course.
And as good as he's been in the bullpen, he could be better in the rotation. Let's see where he goes. And Severino, if you are concerned with him, if you're concerned with the innings, and obviously the last 2 starts have been ugly, if you put him in that role where you only need an inning, maybe even 2 innings out of him, I think he can thrive in that role. I think he can. So it's definitely unorthodox. It's because Severino's been, at least in the first half, was their best pitcher. Obviously now Minaya and Quintana are their better pitchers. But I would do it. I mean, try something, because if you are worried about it, I think there are a lot of Met fans that are concerned over Luis Severino here in the second half. And I don't have to tell you, Yankee fans too that are listening, you've seen this with Sevy. And we're starting to see that older Sevy and that Sevy at the end of the Yankee career. Move him to the bullpen. He can relax, couple innings, doesn't have to worry about throwing 5 or 6 innings. And Budo, who's been lights out, put him in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Budo in the rotation because I think Jose Budo he's starting to develop that little it. That I have control, I feel confident, I'm comfortable, I know what I can do, I could be and will be a pretty effective starter. I just worry about Sevy going to the bullpen and the psychological effect it has on him. So we remember this a year ago, and Sevy he kept just saying, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's wrong. We even said on our show he needs to take a mental break. He needs to just chill out, right? Don't put him on the IL. Just give him a little bit of a mental break till he collects himself and figures it out. And so now that he's had 2 or maybe 3 bad starts in a row, you don't want to start making him think about himself again. You know what I mean? It's one thing if it's physical and it's mechanical and you can fix those things. You can fix physics and mechanics. But when it's in your head all of a sudden, and if you move him to the bullpen, you're demoting him. And you're basically making him question himself. And I don't know if that's the right thing for a guy like Luis Severino. I think he almost needs to figure this thing out. Like, he needs to go through this little lull and come out the other side stronger instead of getting demoted. And then now all of a sudden, you have no idea where his head is at.
So I don't look at it as a demotion. Maybe Luis would feel that way. I look at it.
You're not looking at it as a demotion. Because you come from a starting pitcher. Early in the season, he was the ace. Like, he was the guy, right?
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, you're going to the bullpen?
Because
and he's not going to be the closer. What are you doing?
No, but I don't have to tell Met fans this. The most important outs come at the end of the game. In my opinion, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, high leverage situations, game on the line when you have to close the door, slam the door. How many games have they blown? We've seen it with Clay Holmes. That's why I would move heel to the bullpen too. More on the Yankees in a little bit. If you're heading out to the stadium here, obviously the doubleheader after the rain out last night. I don't look at it as a demotion, and I actually think that it gives him a little bit of a mental break, because now he could say, you know what, I don't have to worry about going 5, 6, 7 innings. I don't have to worry about being the ace or the number one guy. Yeah. Now I could be in that Jose Butto role where I only need to go 2 innings. I could let it rip. Maybe my arm's a little tired. The fatigue of reaching an innings limit that I haven't seen in a little bit. That's why I think it might be the right move if you're Mendy.
So I hear what you're saying, but I just feel like, yesterday we were talking about Malik Neighbors.
Yes.
And how he's just like that dog. He just feels like it.
Generational talent like me.
Exactly. Or like Shockey when he came in. You just know it. Like you are the man. And imagine if you went to Malik Neighbors after 5 or 6 weeks and he's good, but he's had some struggles here or there. And you'd be like, you know what, Malik, you're not going to start. You're not going to start this game. You're gonna come in and give us like 5 plays in the second quarter, in the third quarter, things like, and then we'll go from there. Like, if you do that, you take away like that edge. And I think Sevy is at that point in his career where he's been so good in his early part of his Yankee tenure, where he knows how good he can be. He struggled. He started to bring it back out with this Mets tenure, the early part of this Mets tenure. The last thing you want to do is put him on this yo-yo, because now he starts questioning that, like, I'm the man attitude. And if you don't have that I'm the man attitude as a starting pitcher, it's as close to alpha as you can get, right?
Right.
You are a starting pitcher, and in a lot of sense, even though probably Manaea's overtaken him now as that ace, but still, in a lot of ways, you are the man for the Mets. And to now demote him, I think it just takes away that edge. It's a psychological, mental edge that athletes have when you know you're the man and everybody around you also knows you're the man. I think you just have to trust him, right? This is where Mendy truly has to have his pulse on Luis Severino. I mean, more than any player, because without starting pitching, this Mets team's it'll struggle at times. Not all games, but it'll struggle at times. And so,
especially with Kodai Senga and Scott Hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there's no relief.
Yeah.
I mean, the relief is Butto, but you kind of need Butto in the bullpen right now. So I think he's got to do all he can to protect the psyche and the gusto of Luis Severino. And it's hard because he's scuffling right now.
Yeah, and that's why I want it to be like, I think it's Freaky Friday. That's the movie. I want them to just trade roles, because Butto, to me, is the more confident guy, and I don't look at it as a demotion. Perhaps I could call Carlos Mendoza. I do have his number, and we could chat. We could have a positive sort of intervention, because I would phrase it to Luis Severino as, it's not a demotion. We need you at the back end of the bullpen. And Luis may look at it like, man, I'm struggling. Maybe he's already feeling a little down. And we're like, no. We got this great real estate here. We've been struggling in the bullpen, even though it's been a lot better as of late. We're going to put you at the back end, and now we're going to put Butto into the rotation, because I'm just trying to figure out a way to fix Severino, because you have to worry a little bit about, you're going to need him, and the innings limit, and as far as just not innings limit, but throwing more innings, because he's been injured a lot throughout his career, and he's starting to do that second half swoon. I'm hearing it from my Yankee fan friends that are like, oh, here's the Sevy we saw with the Yankees. Yep. So I'm trying to brainstorm. I'm trying to turn this negative into a positive. And by the way, I was all for keeping Butto in the bullpen. I didn't want to move him out of there. But my theory is just trading roles, because I think Butto could give you more now in the rotation, especially with Senga down, especially with Scott hurt. And the rotation, obviously, Manaea's been great. Quintana, his last start was okay, but he's been really good. So I want to strengthen the rotation, but ultimately, it's about getting Luis Severino figured out. And you talked about that stuff with mentally, because a lot of people have accused Luis Severino of ducking the Yankees this year. Remember, Mendoza switched around things, and it ended up being right because he was great against the Cubs and he was great against the Marlins. But there were those conspiracy theorists that thought, well, Luis Severino, Carlos Mendoza, they didn't want him facing the Yankees because for whatever reason, maybe mentally he couldn't handle it, and they didn't want to wreck him and start him down this path. So he's now starting to slip a little bit. So my mindset is, you know what? Throw him in the rotation. Throw him in the bullpen. Budo, who's been great and he's been giving you a lot of innings, and they were stretching him out anyway a couple weeks ago. Put him in the rotation and give him a spark. 888-808-1019. And of course, last night it was that typical Coors Field wacky game. A few things that I've never seen before in a baseball game. Now, I openly will admit this. I am not Evan, who is. I don't watch every single second of every single game of every single team in baseball. So perhaps this stuff has happened. But just for me, watching the game last night, there was the one play which was a comedy of errors. Even Positive Tommy will admit it was a comedy of errors.
Yeah, it was.
With Chris Bryant, he hit the single or the single double. He can't run it out. They overthrow somebody. Vientos botches it. Severino doesn't back up. It was the Keystone Cops, and then it fell in the netting, which they brought it up on the broadcast, which should be fixed. That should not be a thing.
Right? How is that even broken? I don't understand. Unless somebody just didn't notice it. Someone fell into it. Someone threw a bat into whatever, and it was broken, and nobody noticed it.
Yeah, and the Mets shouldn't have been penalized. That was the first thing.
I mean, the rule's the rule.
The second thing is, and I'm sure somebody's going to point this out. I'm sure there's a Met. I'm sure there's multiple guys, but I think it was Freeland, right? That was the Rockies pitcher last night. And Tiki will appreciate this because a lot of people don't know this about Tiki. I didn't know this about Tiki before I started working with him. Tiki's got a lot of ink. This guy is tatted from, I haven't seen him head to toe, but he's got a lot more tattoos than you think. Freeland had the arm sleeve. I'm like, I've never seen a starting pitcher with an arm sleeve. And I question this. Isn't that a distraction for the hitters? How is the pitcher allowed to have an arm sleeve, right? We worry so much about distractions, and to the point where when they had a mound visit because he had the blister, I'm sitting there going, is that their right fielder? And then I'm like, holy crap, that's their starting pitcher. He's got ink. He looks like he should be riding a Harley. So I'm like, come on now. That's got to be a distraction. So that's the other one, Tiki. And then this one was, to me, the best. So I think I was in and out. I'm like,
but it's not on his pitching arm.
No, but it's in when you're just sitting there batting and you see
hold on. Now I'm trying to think. So he's a lefty.
Yes.
So you're a lefty.
So it's his right arm.
So it's his right arm, which is facing the batter.
Yeah.
And so as he winds up and he throws the arm out there, I mean, maybe if it was really cold. Now I got to go look at his arm.
Yeah.
Now I got to go down the rabbit hole and look at his arm.
I'm actually being that serious. I'm surprised Major League Baseball doesn't make him cover that up with a sleeve.
Well, sometimes he wears sleeves. A lot of times he has sleeves.
Yeah, if it's a little colder, you're playing in Colorado where it's 90 degrees one day and 40 degrees the next day. So the weather is wacky in Colorado. But I've never seen that before. I think Sean Reed Foley, whose mustache is in the Nazi killing business, has ink. Again, I'm not memorizing how many guys have tattoos, but just to see that on a pitcher, I thought he was the left fielder. I'm like, this is the starting pitcher. He's got ink head to toe. Now, while you're down that rabbit hole, another thing that I've never seen before, there was a rain delay last night. And if you sneezed, you missed it.
Yes.
There was a 9-minute rain delay. Yeah. What? Wait a second. I thought there were rules where if you go to a rain delay, it has to be, this is what my people tell me, I thought it has to be a certain amount of time. Like it has to be 40 or 50 minutes by rule. Like you can't have a 9-minute rain delay. That's not a rain delay. That's like basically going to take a tinkle. 9 minutes. So I didn't understand that. And then during the rain delay, they got the bros in the bleachers with their shirt off. They're playing It's Raining Men by the Village People. And the bros are swinging their shirts around. And I'm like, can we get through this 9-minute rain delay? And some of the guys look like they should probably have their shirts off. And then you had some other dudes where I'm like, please. Now Gary and Keith are getting a kick out of that. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is what happens. It's like the XFL going to Colorado. The games are wacky. They're nutty. Everything is just a mess. The grass is wet. And you had one of those like crazy ass games. And again, runners in scoring position, they couldn't get things done. And as you know, Tiki, I am Positive Tommy. And I will not say anything negative about the Mets, but I've been handed a note. So, as Positive Tommy, I think I could read a note Whether it's positive or negative, it's just not me saying it. This is not my opinion from Positive Tommy. This is just a note I've been handed to, and I'm just going to read it. Mark Vientos can't play third base. Okay, so that's a note I got. That was not Positive Tommy. That was a note I was handed, and the note,
Why?
again...
Because of the error where he tried to flip it into his glove, and it just went into the hole in the net. Is that why?
I didn't write the note, but if I had to, and I don't even know, it just was handed to me, I would assume the person that wrote that note watched Vientos over the last couple of weeks, and he's struggling a little bit at third base. Whether he's a DH first base, he's not going to be first base. Pete's the first baseman. But whether it's a DH because JD or whatever, but Vientos is going through it at third base. So the person, whoever wrote this note, is pretty spot on with that. 888-808-1019. Did you find anything out here with the Yank? Tiki is working feverishly.
Yeah, I am all. It's all like baseball related stuff. Well, some of it is, I guess, his whoever Ashley is. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or whatever. Oh. But he has a 60-6 tattooed on his wrist. Obviously, for 60 feet 6 inches,
sure.
The distance to the rubber,
like it,
from rubber to the plate,
like it.
On the ulna, which is the forearm bone.
Forearm for you normal people.
It's the Rocky Mountains.
Okay,
it's like a Rocky Mountain range.
I always thought the Rocky Mountains would be a lot rockier,
right? Which is pretty dope. It's actually kind of a cool tattoo.
Yeah,
because the way it fits right down his forearm. He has the letters AKB. Which is interesting because you sent that down my rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because those are my initials. Ateem Kiambu Barber.
Whoa!
Now, the A is for his wife, Ashley.
Of course.
K is for Kona, who is their golden retriever. And B is for Benny. They have a black shepherd.
Nice.
He also has a big clock. I forget.
What, like Big Ben?
Yeah, it was marking the time when he got and date of the draft.
No, that's awesome. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking the guy. I love it. I love the stories of the tattoos because,
you're right.
Teak, when you were playing, when I was in high school, all the bros had the barbed wire around the bicep.
Yes.
That means nothing. There's a bunch of 50 and 60-year-old guys right now that have a crazy tan and their muscles are gone and they look like idiots with barbed wire tattoos. And then I won't say it on the radio what it was called, but a lot of females back in the day used to have the tattoo over the buttocks.
Yeah, they all have it.
I won't say the word in front of it, but there was a word.
There was a stamp.
And then a stamp. And as they said in Wedding Crashers, might as well be a bullseye. So that was correct, exactly. Those are the most popular tats I know when I was growing up and when you were playing Teak. But that's good. That wasn't even the rabbit hole I want to send you down. There was another.
This was a good one though.
This was a good one.
I love tattoos. You're right. I have a whole bunch of them. None of mine you can see.
The little one on your bicep.
Right. That's the one you can see. It's the infinity sign on the inside of my bicep with me and my wife's initials. So
Love it.
Other than that, you can't see them.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever covered up or changed one, or was there a regrettable one, or because?
Well, yes, because I got an Aries. I'm an Aries, born in April, so I have an Aries like a ram head, but it's long. Looks more like a dagger on my shoulder, and I wanted because my brother has the actual ram's head on his hip.
Oh, Rondé's got some ink too.
Oh, dude, Rondé's got
really
tons of ink.
Yeah, the real bad tiki.
He's got
Rondé
almost
Barber.
a sleeve. Right?
I didn't know that. All right, nice.
So he got a ram on his hip, and I wanted one. And so I didn't want to do the exact one that he did, so I decided just to get the like the zodiac sign ram without the stem, just the zodiac sign, which is basically an open V. Right? And I wanted it, and Rondé had fire all in his thing. It was badass.
That is badass.
And it's on his hip. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that too. And I got it, and it looked dainty. You know what I mean? Like it looked.
Do I know dainty? Have you seen me? I know a lot about dainty.
It looked dainty, and my wife was like, "With the red flame, it looks like fallopian tubes." I was like, all right.
Not exactly badass running back in the NFL. We got fallopian tubes on
so
you.
I was like, I went to Paula, who's my tattoo artist. I'm like, Paula, we got to change this.
Shout out to Paula.
So she put a badass, like black, like full ram head on my head. So
nice.
So that one. So that's the only one that I had to get covered.
I love it. All right. 888-808-1019. Loogie and Lightning. Tommy and Tiki on. Evan and Tiki here. I got another rabbit hole I want to send Tiki down that I heard during the Met game last night. We will get into the Yankees. I actually have a fun little notes I want to talk about with the Yankees here. We'll get into the Yankee lineup. Obviously, you will hear game one of a traditional doubleheader here on the Fan coming up at 3:25. But let's squeeze in a few of your calls here. Let's go to Carmen in Linden, New Jersey. What's up, Carmen?
What's up, Carmen?
Hey, Loogie and Tiki. First, Tiki, I just want to say I really enjoyed. I'm a big Giant fan, and I loved when you played. I enjoyed watching you, and I enjoyed seeing your brother Rondé play as well.
Yeah, he was.
And I
right.
just want to say, yeah, he was.
What'd he ever do?
Was okay.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing like you.
Yeah,
but
they mistakenly put him in the Hall of Fame instead of me. I'm just joking.
But the other thing is, and even more importantly than that, I love the way you act and the way you are on the show.
Thank you, man. I'm just myself, man.
Not a know-it-all.
No, I try to study. I try to have fun. But when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No,
you come across as a regular guy, somebody you could have a beer with or something, and you wouldn't feel inferior.
Come on,
I really
appreciate bring some brown liquor. Let's go throw down.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, Carmen.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you as a man. Thank you. And Loogie, I want to say to you, I also wanted to say everything that you said today was like you were taking the words right out of my mouth.
Well, I am positive, Tommy. I'm the leader of Met fans, so I think I'm like-minded and share the positive thoughts of all Met fans. And so you agree with me on Severino, Carmen?
Well, that was the first thing, but you're not going to believe this. I'm a Yankee fan, but I love to watch the Mets play well. I've always been this way. I'm 75 years old.
Sure, and you like Luis Severino because he played for the Yankees, so you have a soft spot him, which I think a lot of Yankee fans do have a soft spot for Severino.
No. You got it wrong.
I got it wrong?
I like the Mets because I like to see New Yorkers win, even though I'm from Jersey. And if you listen, there's a promo that has my voice saying, I would love to see the Yankees and the Mets in the World Series and the Yankees winning in 7. That's on your...
Well, Carmen, you speak for yourself there. I would not like to see that. I already saw that once, not in a Game 7, so I would not like to see that. But, yes, I do think if you miss it, if you're just tuning in now, you're just getting in the car, you're heading out to Yankee Stadium, or you're driving wherever you're driving, I think Luis Severino and I think Carlos Mendoza, and this would take a little bit of chutzpah, but I would put Luis Severino into the bullpen, and I would move Budo to the rotation. That's what I would do, because Severino's going through it a little bit right now. He's reaching that innings point where he's been injured a little bit, and now he's reaching spots where I think you're seeing the struggles over the last couple starts. Those outs at the end of the games are still important. I don't think it's a demotion, and I think it will get him back on track. And then you could always move him back into the rotation if you want, but if he excels there, keep him there. And I think that's what I would do if I was Mendy. 888-808-1019 is the number to call. Let's go to Jimmy in Staten Island. What's up?
Hi, how you doing?
What's up, man?
I just want to let you know, I was listening to the radio, first-time caller.
Thank you, man.
Talking about that rain out that you said was 9 minutes. And the actual rule is a rain out can be resumed at any time.
A rain delay, yeah.
A rain delay, but they can't postpone the game at least 30 minutes.
Gotcha. So if they, okay, I see what you're saying. So if they realize that they're going to bang it, they still have to wait the 30 minutes, then they say, all right, we're done.
By rule, they have to wait 30 minutes, but they can wait longer if they feel there's a window.
Yeah, no, I got you. I appreciate you clarifying that, Jimmy, because I heard that because I was hosting a show, as I do on the weekends here, because I am the future, I'm a generational talent, and we had a rain delay, and some of my flunkies that work for me out there in the newsroom, they were telling me that, yeah, you know, you're at least going to sit here for 30, 40 minutes before they restart the game, because I was wondering what time I'd be on after the game. So that's where I knew that it was in the back of my mind. And that's why last night I was like, 9 minutes? I thought you had to wait 40 minutes. All right. So I appreciate you clarifying that. 888-808-1019 is the number to call. Loogie and Lightning here on Eminent Tiki. By the way, and I got to say this, and I like, because I have to comment on this stuff. You know me. I like reading a lot of stuff on social media. I have fun with it. I laugh. I chuckle. It gives me stuff to do when I'm going home on the train. I had people yesterday that were saying, number one, I'm trying to take Evan's job. I put Evan over so much. All I said was, I think he should let Pete Hoffman, the great producer, he has 500 kids. You got him up at 2 in the morning doing stupid, I shouldn't say stupid. You got him up doing Rico Bronya podcasts. When you're on vacation, let him do it. So, Teak, I go last night. These two idiots, these two chooches are doing a drunk Rico Bronya last night, which was fitting, I guess, for the game, but they're spewing the negativity. So I love Evan. I'm just having a little fun. That's number one.
Now I got to listen to that one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I forget when he's on vacation that he does the Rico because I always listen to it. I told you because I want to know what he's going to talk about with us.
Yeah, and now you're just like,
he's on vacation. I wanted to talk to him.
Loogie's going to talk about tattoos and dudes with their shirts off and the girls in the front. So it's a little bit different
that
show.
Little stamp on the back of the back.
Yeah, a little stamp. Might as well be a bullseye here. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, people were calling me out. They were like, "Oh, you took top billing, Loogie and Lightning." Well, yeah. It was Thunder and Lightning. That's why I took over for Rondane. I'm now Thunder. I'm Loogie and Lightning. Oh, what are you, nuts? You think I'm going to take over? And then I did Tiki and Tommy. But when people don't like you or I don't say nice things about their team, they just have a personal agenda. It's Loogie and Lightning because it was Thunder and Lightning. All right. School's over.
By the way,
I
look at it the other way anyways because I know that the first name is always the headline, but it's the back name that's the anchor.
I like that. That's a mic drop right there. 888-808-1019.
If I was holding my mic, I would drop it, but it's on a stand, so it's just still sitting there.
Eddie Murphy style.